Now, former ARMSCOR CEO Kevin Wakeford is expected to cross-examine former BOSASA COO Angelo Agrizzi at the State Capture Commission in Parktown in Johannesburg this morning. Commission Chair Deputy Chief Justice Raymond Zondo on Monday granted Wakeford leave to give oral evidence and to cross-examine Agrizzi and BOSASA former head of Central Business Frans Vorster. During his previous testimony, Agrizzi alleged that Wakeford was paid 100,000 rand a month for helping the company resolve its SARS issues. For more now, we're joined in the studio by reporter Manqoba Mchunu. Very good morning to you. Another day, another session at the State Capture Commission.
And again, another big name at the State Capture Commission.
Absolutely.
Of course, Agrizzi being one of them that, has been, eagerly awaited by people. He made explosive testimony when he came in January at the State Capture Commission, fingering certain cabinet members and, certain of the executive officials as having benefited from BOSASA or having received bribes from BOSASA. So, it's one of those testimonies that really was, anticipated by people, that people were eagerly interested in finding out. And of course, fingering many of those cabinet members in those dodgy deals and saying that, they were involved. And so one of them being obviously Kevin Wakeford, who was the ARMSCOR CEO at the time. And the allegation at the time was that he was among those people who had received some of those bribes, those payments from BOSASA. And of course, the allegation at the time is that he was paid to actually help them fix a SARS issue at the time. And so he says that while he admits that he did provide some sort of consultancy work for BOSASA, he says that his company, ARMSCOR, at the time had no dealings at all with ARMSCOR.
As you said, big names. Kevin Wakeford is a highly regarded professional in South Africa, a leader in business. Do we know how these revelations have impacted on his reputation?
Well, of course we do know, Desiree, that after these allegations, he had asked then to be put on special leave at ARMSCOR. So he approached the board to say that he wanted to be put on special leave in order to clear these allegations and to clear, his image, so to speak, or his reputation, so to speak, because he said at the time that, how could you speak to workers when you have such a cloud of allegations hanging over you? So he really asked the board at the time to say, please, can you give me time to prepare for the State Capture Commission? And I think he made that application then to cross-examine Agrizzi. But of course, it has taken a knock on his reputation, being the CEO of a big company like ARMSCOR. So you can kind of think of the repercussions that it's had. And he says now he wants time to clear his name so that he can, continue with his business. And
of course, the proverbial elephant in the room, we can't ignore the fact that the passing of Gavin Watson impacts to some extent the credibility of Agrizzi's. It now becomes Agrizzi's responsibility to prove the veracity and credibility of his testimony.
Indeed, Desiree, because now you have one side or one version from Agrizzi, which is accusations, and those accusations involve Watson as well. So to say, the horse in this instant is no longer there. So we can't hear from the horse's mouth. Watson is not there. He cannot corroborate some of that evidence, or he cannot deny some of that evidence. So it really comes to a great disadvantage for the commission. But of course, unless there are other witnesses who can also sort of back up what Agrizzi has testified, at this stage, it seems as if, at the time of his death, he had not submitted any affidavit to the commission. He had not made a statement to the commission. So really, it comes at a disadvantage for the commission. But of course, Agrizzi's testimony, it would still depend. The judge or the commission chair will have to weigh up some of his evidence and what's heard and who they will speak to next, or who are the other witnesses that will be giving testimony in this instance. We're not sure at this stage.
We know for sure that Angelo Agrizzi is coming in.
We know for sure that he will be coming in because we're expecting him to be cross-examined today. And of course, I'm not sure whether Wakeford himself is going to give his oral evidence today, but I do know for sure that the cross-examination will happen.
It was tempting to start on what's coming up today, but let's just backtrack a bit to Duduzane Zuma. Again yesterday, reiterating that he wasn't given sufficient opportunity to present his side of the story, with the public protector saying that is not so.
Of course, I mean, the public protector was very fast to, or the former public protector rather, Advocate Thuli Madonsela, very fast to respond to Duduzane Zuma. She spoke to the SABC as well yesterday. Yep. She spoke to you. I mean, denying that and saying essentially that Duduzane Zuma is lying, because she says he was given ample time to respond. And I mean, she says the correspondence started as early as 2016, September 2016. And Duduzane Zuma also kind of conceding to that, you know, saying that under, of course, re-examination by Advocate Philip Mkwena, who's the evidence leader, he did concede to the fact that he did receive some sort of communication from the Public Protector's Office. He did receive an email, and later on, a few weeks, he also received a subpoena. So, I mean, those two enough are communication. It shows that there was communication on the part of the Office of the Public Protector. He says at the time, I was out of the country and I couldn't respond. I couldn't come and meet the Public Protector. I was not staying in South Africa at the time. And in fact, I was busy with my businesses, so I couldn't come. And of course, we do know that he came back in the country in July last year when he was subsequently arrested at the OR Tambo International Airport while he was coming to his brother's funeral. But with regards to those allegations, he still feels aggrieved. He says that, I feel that that report shouldn't have gone out without my version. But of course, the former public protector says there was communication done.
Of course, when it comes to Duduzane Zuma, there's interest in the content, but there's also interest in the eye candy effect. What's been happening on social media in this regard?
Indeed, Desiree. I mean, social media has been a buzz, you know, it's been a buzz with people. I mean, I can refer to my Twitter handle as well. People commenting on, wow, you know, he's too good looking, or, you know, making comments like that. So it really has been a buzz. But apart from that, even at the State Capture Commission, I think I've witnessed some of the ladies there taking selfies with Duduzane Zuma. So it's been
just
quite
some lightheartedness to the
just
whole
some lightheartedness,
serious process.
And the humble person that he is, you know. Duduzane Zuma, I mean, when he came the first day, he had a calm demeanor. I mean, we've met him. I've met him during his the other trial that he went through of the accident that had happened, the culpable homicide, when it was still an inquest back at the Randburg Magistrate Court. And I mean, we used to sit and chuckle with him, and he's just that person who'll sit and talk to you. He's a person that will just, you know, warm up the room when he comes, so to speak. So really calm demeanor, and somebody really liked by many people.
He highlighted 3 points that he thought were important about his interaction with the commission. He said there was the rumor side, which was worrying him. He said there was the legal implication, but he also said he thought he was in the middle of a political storm. Do we know if any political role players have responded or reacted to that assertion?
At this point, we haven't heard of any reactions. In fact, the commission chair himself asking, you know, to Duduzane Zuma, does he know why he was arrested? Was it only for the issue of the bribe with Mqolisi Jonas? And of course, he says yes, because I was arrested on corruption charges. So the commission chair asking, really, is there something that we need to look in terms of his arrest? Because he says he's heard testimony before of people that have been arrested, or either trumped up charges were formulated against them to somehow, you know, settle political scores, or to deal with, you know, with them in particular, those who were fighting corruption at the time. So he did raise this question about Duduzane's arrest and why he was arrested if there was no charges. And of course, Duduzane saying that, you know, even when he went to the police station and even when he went to court, he was never given, you know, the list of charges and so forth. So at the time, it appeared as if it was just another, you know, sort of like target against him. And he says he believes that, you know, he was caught in a political storm. And I think here in reference with the fact that his father was the then president. So he says he hasn't done most of these things. Even the offers that they've said he was part of, he has removed himself from that, saying that I was not there.
Emphasizing that he's not a corrupt person.
I'm not a corrupt person. That's, in fact, one of the strongest statements that he made yesterday to South Africa, to say South Africans, you know, the media has painted me as this corrupt person. The media and public, you know, perceptions are that I'm this criminal, but I'm not. I'm not. I am not corrupt, and I'm not a criminal.
Manqoba, thank you so much for that update. Manqoba Mchunu. Now,